Hi, welcome in. Let's go to day 39, Malachi, the last word. Most of life is not lived in crisis, which is a good thing. Not many of us would be able to sustain a life of perpetual pain or loss or ecstasy or challenge. But crisis has this to say for it. In times of crisis, everything, absolutely everything, is important and significant. Life itself is on the line. No word is casual, no action marginal, and almost always God and our relationship with Him is on the front page. But during the humdrum times when things are, as we tend to say, normal, our interest in God is crowded to the margins of our lives and we become preoccupied with ourselves. Religion during such times is trivialized into asking God questions, calling God into question or complaining about Him, treating the worship of God as a mere hobby or diversion, managing our personal affairs such as marriage for our own convenience and disregarding what God has to say about them, going about our usual activities as if God were not involved in such dailiness. The prophecy of Malachi is made to order for just such conditions. Malachi creates a crisis at a time when we are unaware of crisis. He wakes us up to the crisis of God during the times when the only thing we are concerned with is us. He keeps us on our toes, listening for God, waiting in anticipation for God, ready to respond to God, who is always coming to us. God says, "You have spoken hard, rude words to me." You ask, when did we ever do that? When you said it doesn't pay to serve God. What do we ever get out of it? When we did what He said and went around with long faces, serious about God of the angel armies, what difference did it make? Those who take life into their own hands are the lucky ones. They break all the rules and get ahead anyway. They push God to the limit and get by with it. Then those whose lives honored God got together and talked it over. God saw what they were doing and listened in. A book was opened in God's presence, and minutes were taken of the meeting, with the names of the God-fearers written down, all the names of those who honored God's name. God of the angel armies said, "They're mine, all mine. They'll get special treatment when I go into action. I treat them with the same consideration and kindness that parents give the child who honors them. Once more, you'll see the difference it makes between being a person who does the right thing and one who doesn't, between serving God and not serving Him." Malachi 3, verses 13 to 18. Malachi gets in the last word of Holy Scripture in the Old Testament. The final sentences in his message to us evoke the gigantic figures of Moses and Elijah. Moses to keep us rooted in what God has done and said in the past. Elijah to keep us alert to what God will do in the days ahead. Remember and keep the revelation I gave through my servant Moses, the revelation I commanded at Horeb for all Israel, all the rules and procedures for right living. But also look ahead. I'm sending Elijah, the prophet, to clear the way for the big day of God, the decisive judgment day. He will convince parents to look after their children and children to look up to their parents. If they refuse, I'll come and put the land under a curse. Malachi 4, verses 4 to 6. By leaving us in the company of mighty Moses and fiery Elijah, Malachi considerably reduces the danger of our trivializing matters of God and the soul.